A mysterious force shattered the sealed door. A terrifying finger appeared on the picture frame. The nail lightly grazed over it. The frame was instantly covered in ice, as if time itself had come to a standstill. At this moment, a figure appeared in the secret chamber. It seemed to emerge from a dark abyss. It raised a horn and thrust it onto its head. Then, a strange scene appeared. The horn gradually transformed into a demon's horn. Fear instantly filled the surroundings. At this moment, the true Demon King was about to descend to the world. At this time, in the center of New York City, a group of people drove carriages into a castle. As they stepped into the castle, they saw a tightly closed door. Cold air was wafting from the door. Before they could approach, the eerie cold air suddenly contracted. At this moment, the leader stepped forward. The moment his hand touched the door, he felt a bone-chilling cold. Before he could react, his arm was already frozen to the door. The others hurriedly pulled him back with all their might. Then someone lifted an axe and swung it at the wooden door. When the group broke open the door, they were stunned by the scene inside. Inside were a dozen frozen corpses. Huge ice spikes jutted up from the floor. The entire room resembled a den of demons. A bone-chilling cold rushed toward them. Immediately after, they discovered a figure in golden armor in the corner. Strangely, everything around him was frozen, yet he was unharmed, and in his embrace, he held a bronze-colored spherical object. One person cautiously reached out to take the bronze ball. The armored figure suddenly opened his eyes wide. In an instant, everything frozen in the room exploded into ashes. The characters on the bronze ball began to shift as well. The family known as the Ghostbusters was now speeding through the city in their car. Manhole covers in the city were flying up from the bottomless manholes. It seemed something was about to burst forth. Suddenly, a monster resembling a blue loach emerged from the sewer ahead. It lunged toward the group. The youngest daughter Phoebe exclaimed, "It's a ghost dragon." Paul immediately drove after it. They aimed to capture the ghost dragon as quickly as possible. Phoebe activated the electromagnetic cannon. She successfully ensnared it with electromagnetic force. The ghost dragon struggling madly, Paul instructed his son Mike to deploy the prepared mysterious weapon. He attempted to suck the ghost dragon into the proton box. However, the ghost dragon flew higher and higher, exceeding the weapon's pulling range. It then began to rampage freely through the sky. Mother Casey released the ghost wings and quickly pursued the ghost dragon, with Phoebe's electromagnetic cannon restraining it. The ghost wings quickly caught up. At this moment, the ghost dragon attempted to counterattack. Casey's control was incredibly agile. She managed to trap the ghost dragon in the proton box. Just as they reveled in capturing the ghost dragon, Paul was distracted and nearly crashed into the vehicle ahead. At the critical moment, he jerked the steering wheel. The car successfully drifted and avoided danger. However, the car crashed into a shared bicycle parked by the roadside. Because of this incident, the group made it into the news. This even caught the attention of the mayor. The mayor ordered a review of the Ghostbusters. Phoebe was prohibited from taking on missions due to being under 18. Paul tried to explain, but the mayor completely ignored him. This order left Phoebe feeling deeply disappointed. She wanted her mother to help plead her case. However, the mayor's orders could not be defied. After returning to the fire station, Paul placed the captured ghost into the containment unit, but the containment unit seemed to be malfunctioning. It wouldn't close no matter what. He quickly called his mother for help. Together, they barely managed to close it, yet they were completely unaware that this situation signified a disaster was about to unfold. Due to losing their job, Phoebe went to a friend's house. There, they unexpectedly discovered a ghost. When the two were observing, the little white figures around them suddenly seemed greatly frightened. They panicked and hid away. At that moment, a guest arrived from upstairs. He stated he wanted to pawn his grandmother's belongings. The shopkeeper picked up a bronze ball and examined it closely. He immediately sensed that this item was far from ordinary. It seemed that something terrifying was hidden within the bronze ball. The shopkeeper took out a detector to examine the bronze ball. The detector suddenly emitted thick smoke. Then a violent explosion occurred. Clearly, this bronze ball exceeded the detector's operational limits. Suddenly, the ground began to shake violently. Frost quickly formed around the bronze ball. Then an ice dragon spread rapidly toward the street. Its target is the ghost containment container stored in Phoebe's house. The shopkeeper immediately deduced that a terrifying ghost was concealed within the bronze ball. He decisively accepted it for $100. The man who received the money was filled with joy, completely unaware of the flames from the food stall changing behind him. At this moment, Paul looked at the crack in the wall. He felt very uneasy. Meanwhile, in the room, Mike saw an unknown liquid dripping from the ceiling. Then he came to the roof, but only found a pile of trash. However, there seemed to be something hidden in the trash. Then Mike kicked it aside. In an instant, a green, big-headed ghost sprang out. It went straight through Mike's body. Then it quickly crashed into the wall and disappeared without a trace. At that moment, the alarm suddenly went off. Everyone got ready to carry out their mission. Meanwhile, Phoebe could only go to the park alone. She played chess by herself. To pass the time, the chess pieces began to move on their own. Soon, a ghost dressed in blue flames appeared. The ghost introduced herself as Dee, burned to death in a large fire in an apartment. After a brief conversation, the two quickly became friends. At that moment, Ghost Dee suddenly vanished into thin air, leaving Phoebe stunned in place. The female ghost is about to bring her a disaster. The ghost containment unit was damaged due to the influence of the bronze ball. Paul called in professionals to repair it. Through the blueprints, he learned that the ghosts captured over the past few decades were all stored in this containment unit. This had caused the space to become insufficient. So, under the guidance of the professionals, Paul's family went to the Supernatural Research Center. The relevant personnel also introduced a new type of ghost containment device. However, transferring the ghosts to the new containment unit would take 6 to 7 years. The staff then stated they had also developed a machine capable of extracting souls. You just need to place the haunted object in the machine, then turn on the switch, and it will separate the soul from the object. At that moment, Phoebe asked a strange question: can the soul separator extract living creatures? The staff replied that there was currently no precedent for that. Phoebe then wandered around. It was here that she saw the imprisoned ghosts. They were blocked by the proton field containment units. Among them was a ghost called the Possessor. Due to the inability to escape, it could only continuously cling to objects in the room to vent its anger. At this moment, everyone was unaware that it would play an important role in the impending disaster. After returning from the research center, Phoebe felt extremely bored, so she secretly took on a ghost driving mission. A ghost had appeared in a restaurant downtown. After calling her good friend Burke, the two of them arrived at the reporting restaurant. Upon getting closer, they discovered the ghost was actually Dee, the one Phoebe had played chess with before. Phoebe couldn't bear to capture her, and Dee seized the opportunity to escape through the window. By the time Phoebe reacted, it was too late. This mistake will lead to a major disaster. At the same time, the shop owner, who was aware of the hazards of copper balls, handed over the retrieved copper balls to Raymond from the research center. He instructed to keep it carefully. So, the two at the research center prepared to place the bronze ball in the ghost separator for extraction. Meanwhile, the ghost next to them kept banging on the glass, as if trying to remind them of something. After the machine was activated, the bronze ball showed no response. However, the other ghosts trapped in the research center became agitated. As the staff increased the power to the maximum, the bronze ball suddenly began to shake. The font above also changes accordingly. Then the entire research center's power was cut off. The other trapped ghosts tried to seize the opportunity to escape. The staff hurriedly activated the emergency backup power. At this critical moment, they managed to contain the ghosts. This incident has led to speculation that the energy of the bronze ball far exceeded their imagination. The staff quickly removed the bronze ball from the machine, but unexpectedly, the bronze ball instantly froze his hand. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and flung the ball forcefully to the ground. After the capture mission failed, Phoebe returned home dejected. Unexpectedly, Ghost Dee followed her. It seemed that she needed her help with something. After a brief exchange, they heard Mother Casey calling for Phoebe. Dee vanished again. At that moment, the bronze ball in the research center reacted once more. Frost formed around the bronze ball again, and it quickly spread to the surroundings. Even the fountain in the park was instantly frozen. Meanwhile, the fleeing Dee was walking down the street. Cold ice surged toward her. She then began to converse with it. It seemed they were making some sort of deal. After the transaction is completed, the ice disappears as well. At this time, Mike was setting a trap at home, using delicious food to seduce the green-headed ghost who caused him losses. The green-headed ghost also successfully took the bait. Just as Mike was about to launch his attack, the building suddenly shook violently. This disrupted his plans. As a result, the green-headed ghost escaped once more. This failure, the green-headed ghost will save his life. The next day, the Ghostbusters arrived at the research center. They were curious about the energy contained in the bronze ball, so the staff conducted experiments with the bronze ball for them. Through testing, they learned that the cold released by the ball could reach absolute zero, and it could cause all particles to cease movement. Thus, ordinary flames had no effect whatsoever. Even more frightening was that the bronze ball could mentally control the ghosts. The proton barrier that imprisoned the ghost was also damaged due to freezing. At that moment, a ghost seized the opportunity and slipped into the Ghostbusters bag to gain more understanding of the bronze ball. The next day, they went to the home of the man who sold the bronze ball. The man recounted the origins of the bronze ball and led them to a mysterious room. Among them, the golden armor and the horns hanging on the wall caught everyone's attention. Everyone marveled at the wonders of these items, so one team member used a detector to examine them. Suddenly, the device showed abnormal readings, pointing directly at the man selling copper balls. The group then took him back to the research center. After a series of tests, it was confirmed that there was no ghost within the man. However, at that moment, the group noticed that the flames in the room can fluctuate with a man's emotions, big and small. They speculated that he might possess some superpower. To gain a more comprehensive understanding of the bronze ball's secrets, they went to the library in search of clues. However, the librarian was quite impatient. He did not want to reveal too much, but upon seeing the photo of the bronze ball, he became extremely flustered. He then instructed them to follow him to the library. Everyone thought, "Aren't we already in the library?" It turned out that the upstairs was just an exhibition hall. The real library was downstairs. The librarian found an ancient book and told them a legend. After hearing it, they felt it was somewhat similar to the current Ghostbusters. The librarian also had a recording that unlocked the text on the bronze ball. As everyone listened intently to the recording, the ghost that had been hiding in the team member's bag seized the opportunity to attach itself to the recorder. It then manipulated the machine to throw the film into a garbage bag. It then attached itself to the garbage bag, escaping in the sight of several people. Several people who realized the seriousness of the matter quickly chased after it. They chased it all the way to the street, but saw no sign of the ghost. They searched everywhere. Finally, they discovered the previously missing garbage bag at a stone lion. Just as they were about to climb up to retrieve it, the stone lion suddenly came to life and let out a mighty roar at them. At that critical moment, Phoebe immediately activated her proton gun. The stone lion shattered instantly, but the film was also damaged into two pieces. The ghost also took the opportunity to escape. A man arrived at Phoebe's house. This man was Jack, the previous owner of the bronze ball. He realized he might be a descendant of the Flame Master. Under the encouragement of the team members, he trained fire control techniques. However, Phoebe violated the mayor's order, prohibiting her from taking on missions. She even damaged the stone lion at the library entrance. This caused serious repercussions. Phoebe was once again severely reprimanded by the mayor. As a result, she was made to wear a beautiful silver bracelet. Phoebe, who was taken home, she thought that instead of receiving praise, she was scolded by her family. She angrily left the house, and at this moment, Dee is also keeping an eye on Phoebe at all times. Seeing that Phoebe was feeling down, she decided to appear and talk to her. Dee showed great sympathy. She felt that only a ghost could truly understand her. She suddenly had a bold idea. Then, the girl and the ghost secretly went to the research center. Phoebe activated the soul separator. She was ready to separate her soul from her body, to experience what it felt like to be a ghost. She then climbed into the glass vessel. Before long, her soul began to separate from her body. After the separation was successful, Phoebe looked at her transparent body. Just as she was about to do something, she suddenly seemed to be possessed by something. Her eyes glowed with an eerie blue light. A mysterious force took control of Phoebe. She suddenly began to chant a spell. Then the bronze ball began to change as well. Suddenly, a strange black mist appeared in the air. A mysterious power was released from the bronze ball. At that moment, the ghost god Galaka, imprisoned for thousands of years, was awakened. Raymond arrived in the lab to find Galaka had been released. He grabbed the proton gun and launched a fierce attack against him. However, this attack did not inflict any effective damage. After Galaka was freed, he went to a supermarket. He mercilessly froze the shopkeeper. Later, he went to the room behind the supermarket. His nails brushed across the photo album and were instantly frozen. It turned out that its horns were stored here. Galaka picked up the horns. The horns were placed on his head. He instantly regained his divine power and then began his path of vengeance. The beach was filled with beautiful women in bikinis, but at that moment, a strange wind suddenly swept across the surface of the sea. The wind frightened everyone. causing them to turn and run. However, they hadn't run far when sharp ice spikes fell from the sky. The entire city was instantly shrouded in a wave of cold. Not only was the road frozen, the ice cone protruding from the ground pierced the taxi directly. Inside a shop, a little girl trembled under a table, hiding. At this time, the Ghostbusters were holding an emergency meeting, because this mission was extraordinary, and could potentially be the final battle of their lives. At this moment, Phoebe realized that a regular proton gun could no longer inflict any damage on Galaka. So, after some thought, Phoebe gathered a pile of brass and melted it to coat the parts of the proton gun. As Galaka appeared, the ghost-catching team is full of energy and ready to go. They braced themselves for this incredibly difficult challenge. Galaka came knocking on the door. With a loud crash, the door was thrown dozens of meters away. The possessor quickly rushed into the house. They are attached to the car. It controlled the gas pedal. It quickly collided with several people. Fortunately, they were not hit. Then the cunning possessor attached itself to the proton gun again. It rapidly emitted a stream of protons. Paul was completely stunned. He looked along the proton flow, only to find that it was Jack controlling it as it flew out the window. Teammates hurried over, taking the opportunity to smash the collider. At that moment, the possessor escaped from inside and dove into a pizza. But the next second, it was swallowed by the green-headed ghost in one gulp. At this time, the cold wave had spread to the walls of the fire station, and Galaka had also appeared. Everyone quickly gathered to prepare for battle. Wherever he went, everything was frozen. The houses began to crack. Even the ghost containment unit downstairs was pierced by ice spikes. The group immediately launched an attack. But even combining all their powers, they could not inflict any damage on Galaka. In a critical moment, Jack slid down from the second floor, wearing his grandmother's armor. He took out a lighter, ready to cast a spell, but no matter what, the lighter wouldn't catch fire. At that moment, Galaka suddenly launched an attack, trapping everyone. Then he began to chant a spell. As the light flickered, the ghost containment unit cracked open. A beam of red light shot up into the sky. The ghost that had accumulated in the container for 40 years rushed out. Under Galaka's control, they swiftly rushed toward the crowd. At this moment, Phoebe woke up. She realized that the ghost containment unit had been destroyed. She shot a proton stream at Galaka, but even though her collider had been enhanced, it was still no match for Galaka. Then she too was frozen in place, as it seemed Phoebe's soul was about to be extracted. At this critical juncture, Dee suddenly appeared. She lit a match. In an instant, the flame leaped into Jack's hand. At this moment, the man was miraculously manipulating the flames and directing them towards Galaka. The frozen group was instantly awakened. They joined forces to attack Galaka. However, even so, they could not seal him away. At this moment, a team member thought, since the ghost containment container has been emptied now, then they could seal Galaka inside. So the group quickly went to the basement. They successfully activated the ghost containment unit. Galaka was drawn in by a powerful suction, and thus he was sealed once again. The apocalyptic crisis was averted. As the ground cracks merged, the city that had been frozen began to slowly thaw. Interested viewers can check out the original film Ghostbusters: Afterlife. If you enjoy my channel, please click to subscribe.